Roles, we're all given roles in our culture and society, and often these roles are based on gender. We have masculine and feminine roles, but they're also based on age. Like our expectations and norms for the roles of children is going to be different from adolescents, from adults, from old people. And maybe next week on the discussion board, I'll ask you, what are your roles? Let me give you an example of some of mine. I'm a son. I have the role of being a son to my mother, and that comes with certain rights, expectations, obligations, and privileges, right? And I am judged on whether I'm a good or bad son by my culture based on how well I fulfill those obligations. But there's also privileges being the son of my mother. She has a certain type of nurturing and care and compassion and love for me that she has for lots of people, but mine is in like this special role and relationship because I am her only son. And so there is that thing. I'm also a brother. Same thing. There's certain rights, expectations, obligations, and privileges that come from being a big brother. And I am judged by my culture and society by how well I adhere to that. I'm also an uncle dad. I have children that look up to me, I raise, I have certain expectations of them, but they have certain things they can request of me that people that don't have that role or relationship in my life don't have access to. I'm a friend, and I have certain tiers of friendship. I have acquaintances, I have Facebook friends, I have inner circle lifer friends. And each one of those roles or relationships comes with different rights, privileges, responsibilities, etc. I'm a teacher. Okay, that comes with those things. I'm also a student. I'm a part of a church. All of these different roles in my life have different things that go with it. And so probably in our third discussion board, I'm going to ask you to think about what are some of the roles you have in our culture and society, and what kind of expectations come with those roles, but what kind of privileges or rights do you have in those relationships? Now, the problem for me with roles is, even though I have them and I acknowledge them, that's not how I want to be labeled or identified or judged, right? Because I'm more than just my roles. My roles are a relationship or things I do, but it's not who I am at the core of my being. And the problem when we have such strong roles in our society, for example, many women see their identity in terms of their role as wife or mother. Well, what happens if they get divorced or they can't have children, or one of their children dies? For many women, they feel like they've lost their identity or their very self because they had tied their identity into these roles or relationships they had. For many men in our culture, they tie their identity to the roles they have in their employment, or their standing in their church or their community. And if they lose their employment or their standing, they too may feel like they've lost their identity or who they are. And so I really want to caution you, don't confuse your roles with that core internal self of who you are. Roles and relationship are relationships or things you do, but they are not that inner being of who you are. And with that, chapter 2 of humanity, and we'll do chapter 3 next class.